monthly meeting of the Village of Sandalwood Lake South Homeowners Association for Thursday, June the 18th, 2020. Roll call, Mary Lou Barnes.
Present.
Joe Costello.
Here.
Natalia
Charlie
Franklin here.
Chris Christoff.
Here.
Larry Rocco. All right, verification of the posting of the meeting.
Yes, was posted on the 16th.
Okay. Now we're going to have the approval of the minutes for meetings beginning in March. March the 19th, Randall so kindly took it upon himself and stayed up to 2 o'clock in the morning getting these minutes done for us. All right, so everybody's had a chance to read them. I make a motion we approve the minutes from the 19th of March.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, approval.
Motion carried.
All right, approval of the meeting minutes for the 30th of April.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of the minutes from May the 21st.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. I'll start with the President's report. It's going to be brief because it's the same old stuff. Attorney bills are out of sight because we have homeowners in here who want to challenge our every move. We get homeowners that want to extend leases for 2 months. It clearly states in our documents no less than 6, no more than 12. And they want to extend their existing lease totally against our documents. So he said he wanted Ross's name and number because he was going to have his attorney. Okay, he was going to have his attorney call. I need to make it clear that these attorney bills that we get, the person that we're doing the work for is responsible for our attorney's fees as well.
May I speak, sir? Is this interactive?
No, you may not. At the end of the meeting, you get 3
That's
minutes.
why I asked.
I'm not addressing your questions now. So, any attorney fees, and this is also clearly stated in our documents, that we incur as a result of anybody contesting the rules and regulations are the responsibility of the person making the claim.
May I just interject something quickly?
Quickly.
If this gentleman is wanting to extend his current lease by only 2 months, and that makes it less than a year, still under 1 year, I don't know why we don't accommodate him.
Yeah.
If
We
we
should vote.
accommodate him, we have to accommodate everybody.
For
I've
anybody
discussed-
under
Mary
a
Lou,
year.
Mary Lou, I discussed it with our attorney. We can't do it, period.
Read to us, please, where you see 6 months to 1 year.
I'm not going to look it up now. I know it's in there.
I don't
Yeah,
recall
he
seeing...
has rules.
I don't-
This is gentleman has
It can
rules.
be no
He's not
less
in
than
this
6
meeting
months.
Until
But
he's
it's rules,
recognized.
rules. He
No
giving
less
the
than
rules.
doesn't
6
matter.
months.
I'm going to adjourn the meeting if we're going
No,
to be
you
out of
cannot
control.
adjourn meeting. This is our rules. Can you read it?
I'm not talking about rules and regulations. I'm talking about the declaration.
You are
Larry,
too. You are too
it says no
bureaucratic.
less than 6 and no more than 12. His will come to 11. That is more than 6 and less than 12.
No, he wants to go from a year to an extra 2 months, is my understanding.
No,
No,
that's not
no.
what we got the email. An extra 2 months over a year. That's not what I read in the email.
Yes, like
In the gentleman's email. I didn't read that he wanted 14 months.
I can clarify something. It's a 6-month lease,
Right.
right?
9 months. It's a 9-month lease.
All right, whichever it is,
Yeah.
9-month lease. 9-month lease that ends at a certain time.
Right.
Okay. Then a renewal.
Just 2 months
is
is all he
another-
wants.
Is another lease, basically. So this gentleman would like to extend it,
Correct.
right?
for 2 months, which will make it 11 months, which is less than
Yeah,
a
it's
year.
okay.
And the
It's
documents say no less than 6, no more than 12.
No more than 12,
But
yeah.
what? but the
So
thing is,
it's,
I
I,
shouldn't be speaking.
well, no,
It's
no,
not
Randall, I
for me
just
to speak.
believe that the board does have the right to accommodate this vote, only because the documents say no less than 6, no more than 12, and what the gentleman is asking for is a total of 11. It's
He
9
he
and an
He
extension.
had a 9-month lease.
Can I make
It requires a
Yeah.
new lease.
I'd like to ask a question.
Sure.
The lease that the gentleman in question had was a 6-month or 9-month lease that was put in. 9 months. So that's an official document.
Correct.
It's a 9-month lease. There was a document between him and the renter and approved by our board, okay? It's a legal document of 9 months, not a year. If there's an extension to it, he was already given a special privilege to have a shorter than a year lease. So he has to abide by the fact the lease expired. And it's a new lease.
It's not, it's, the
You know, I
document
don't do
says,
these things without
It's
checking with the attorney.
no
That's why
less
we
than
go
I
to
know,
the
and
attorney.
I went online to an HOA attorney and asked this very
Well,
question, and
Mary,
I got a different
I could care
answer.
less what you went online and did. Take some of that time that you're going online and how about typing up some minutes for the
I don't have the
association?
ability to type anything
Oh.
except at the office.
Yeah, all you have the ability to do is complain.
Oh, my
we
God.
can
No,
vote, you
I'm
let this
tired of it.
gentleman have
I'm
extra
tired
2
of the
months.
complaints.
Because we cannot rent below 6 months, in above 1 year it should be new lease. It means we have right to vote. You let this person have
We're not
another
taking-
2
we're
months
not gonna
during
take a vote on
quarantine. Now COVID quarantine.
Excuse me,
We-
we don't
we
vote
should-
on leases, the president handles that.
It's not, we all board handle all business, all board.
The
He
president
doesn't have the
handles-
right to say no. It's a board
A
decision.
board decision.
He doesn't have the right to say no.
We're not going to take an illegal vote, period.
No, it's legal vote. We can. And
Show
can
me
let
your
your lawyer
law
listen
degree.
that audio
Oh,
on
Jesus Christ.
YouTube.
You know what? I'm about done dealing with this lunacy.
Is it?
You're going to be fine. You're going to be looking for a new president because I'm tired of it.
We tired too. You are too bossy, okay? You too.
Yeah.
You're giving hard time to the person during quarantine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Point of order.
Motion
Point of
on
order.
the table.
Point of
Motion on
order,
the table.
This
Mr.
is what I
Chairman.
have to deal with.
Mr. Chairman, point of order. You're the president, you're controlling this meeting. You can do
Well,
not
I'm
have
trying.
to, you
I'm
do
trying
not
to
have,
control.
well, you can tell her to be quiet. She's not allowed to speak. You have the floor, you're doing your report.
Okay, when he finish, we will have motion. Okay. We have right to have motion.
All right. So that's just one issue. We have other issues where people don't have leases at all, and Randall's uncovering them. That costs us money. And they're behind on assessments. If they're behind on assessments, we're collecting the rent from these units. So Randall, we'll do the treasurer's report. Go ahead, Chris.
All right. Speaking of legal fees, last month we noted that for association legal expenditures for legal advice, which is advice given for the purpose of running the association as opposed to costs for the collection of A&R, we were over budget. This month, you'll note on the monthly report issued from Jeannie that for both of the legal expense lines for the monthly report, the sum total is 0. And the reason for that is because the bill was just received and therefore has not been paid, so it's not reflected in an accrued budget yet. But the bill from Rawson for this month was just under $28,000. That represents about $10,000 in legal expense for advice and $18,000 in collection A&R activities. So obviously the board last year, which I wasn't a part of and didn't make this budget, budgeted $20,000 for legal collection advice. Resultingly, we are now over that budget by $37,000. And my estimate at this time is on that single line item, we will likely end the year over by between $60,000 and $80,000.
What is that line item number?
That's, I don't have the budget in front of me, but
Oh,
it's
sorry.
there's one for legal collections,
Okay,
and there's also
How
one.
much of these are recoverable?
So legal collection, the legal advice is not a recoverable part.
I understand
Right,
that.
right.
Legal,
One's
I'm about to get to
one
that.
per-
So this, for example, this month, the collection bill for legal was 18,000. We recovered 25,000. So we have a recovery net effect of 28% capture rate, which notably is very low. And I suspect, although Rawson didn't provide a breakdown of the costs in the legal advice for this month for general advice, that probably some of that is also attributable to A&R. So for example, if Rawson discusses with Larry like a particular unit case, that maybe it's generally could be misclassified. So it's very close to break even, honestly. The amount of money that we are spending to collect it versus the money we are getting back. It's something that we'll definitely want to look into in future months and potentially consider a different vendor for next year. I don't think it's a great idea, at least with the numbers that I've seen, and I've only had a very short time to look at that.
You still didn't answer my question. How much of it is recoverable as legal expenses that we charge the people that we're
So we-
involved in actions with?
So we spent $18,000 to return back 25.
Okay, so we had a plus on that side. Recoverable.
We currently have an $8,000 plus. That amount would probably
So his fee was taken care of.
yes, but that you also have to understand that's like we're spending 72 cents out of every dollar to recover, which is really high. I take the bill amount that he bills us for A&R collection and I subtract it from the amount that we recover.
Yes, it's a simple matter.
Yeah.
It's two line items, you just subtract the two. So another thing that we're monitoring obviously is the building repair, plumbing repair, and roof repairs lines obviously are again over budget. We were already over budget on these for the year. Between the legal, building, plumbing, and roof repairs, we are currently on those four line items about $117,000 over budget for the year, and obviously we're only in June. So we are probably looking at a projected loss of several hundred thousand on those line items. And that's just the basis of the fact that we're going to continue having building repairs, roof repairs, and
How are
plumbing.
you predicating that extension of expense?
We're in June, and you can either multiply times 2, or you can take the net effect of each year. The budget's broken down monthly.
You
So
can look at
you
last
can
year's budget
historically
to see
average
how
it.
they complied?
Yeah, they were over last year. This association was over budget by about $100,000.
Right.
So this year the net effect is worse, even though we had the same numbers as last year in terms of the budget amount. The reason it's worse this year is because we're still over budget, but we're also collecting less due to the coronavirus and the impact of that on our collections. So that drives the amount that we're netting as an association down. One thing of note, again, is Jeannie's reports. They'll have a positive number for reserve assessments, particularly for fences, roofs, and building. I have another call scheduled with Jeannie on Monday. Effectively, those reserve numbers are 0 because we're simply going to have to cover the overages out of operating. So there's no effective money in them currently. Fencing is dramatically, obviously, more expensive than we budgeted. We do not have any reserves to cover that. We're pretty
How much over are we on that?
on fencing. We currently are over, I believe it's $60,000. We do have another bill as well. We just got another bill of
Over
$10,000.
our original budget?
Yeah, we didn't budget any.
There was never a budget.
We never budgeted
Right.
for it.
We
We
just
just
used
started doing
reserves.
it.
Right.
Yeah, well, we had the reserves because it was a
No,
community.
that's not true. That's not true, Randall. You presented us a plan where we would buy the products, the raw materials, and then we would have contractors coming in, and we had a fee that we could project out what our expenses would be to complete the job. Where did we go awry?
We had a projection, yeah, but
Right.
there's never anything put in a budget, you know.
There's no budget in line.
It's also
This was-
run
this was
3
started
years.
Back in 2018.
Yeah, September of 18 we started, this is June of 20. So we're in our third
So
year.
when we were talking about it, there was projections,
Right.
but there was no, because it wasn't an exact science anyway, because we didn't know, it was all based on.
Wasn't there a reserve for fences that we had?
Not anywhere near.
No,
what-
in 18 we had
There was.
reserves, but we blew them last year.
Yeah.
But,
they're all
you know,
gone.
We, of course, blew through them and then, used operating stuff to operating capital.
Basically, the problem came from the fact that the budget for this year has no line item reserve at all in the operating budget and no additional money to reserves. And the amount of reserves that we have is well below what our actual cost of putting in these fences are. And what should have happened is there should have been either more capital going to reserves, or frankly, because we thought we were going to finish this project this year, to operating, but that it just doesn't, it's not in the budget. No one ever added it.
Well, the problem is that we tried to hold the $351.
Right. The problem is we kept trying to hold that assessment rate, and to do that, the numbers had to work.
I have the 2018, the April of this year financials. I don't
Right.
have May, but I have April. And fence reserves, April, which is line item 2510. April, as of April 30th, we had $7,670.42.
So the reason that there is a positive balance in
Right.
reserves of fencing and roofs and that type of thing is because Jeannie has currently pulled that money out of the operating
Right.
fund, and come Monday when we do the adjustments as voted on, as well as adjustments that she's asked us for, those balances will all be zero, and we'll still have a net. To be clear, we're still going to have a significance. That money's already spoken for.
And I just wanted to, for the third month in a row now, I've asked that the interest on the reserves be transferred into fences.
I have a whole list. I have a whole list for Jeannie.
Because
It's on the list.
April 30th, we
Right.
had $1,010.
Right. I mean, again,
Which
it'll
could, just
right.
to help.
Right.
just
No,
help.
I 100% agree.
It won't solve it,
yeah,
but it helps.
It's on my list.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, no
I have
problem.
long calls with Jeannie.
No problem, no problem.
It's on the list. I can
Okay.
only move account by account.
Yeah, because that's the only community-wide project we're doing, so we have a right to put that interest into that community-wide. We're
Yeah.
not spending it on something frivolous, shall we say.
Yeah. So continuing, obviously we were over budget by about $29,000 for the last month. On a net cash flow basis, particularly when you reduce for non-starter capital projects, the actual over budget is a lot higher. We'll get a much better assessment of the HOA finances once the reserve study, the annual audit, and the budget workshopping is done. But again, as mentioned previously, we're going to be looking at an increase to our HOA assessment next year so that we can maintain the current level of services that we provide, not including the projects that we haven't started yet, like concrete hedges, power washing, etc. It's of note as well, some of that loss is also being covered by, again, capital project we haven't started yet. So concrete, there's a line item for office secretary, etc. So even not spending that money, we're still over budget. Mary Lou asked a question to me to report the number of new delinquencies. So that's the number of homeowners who didn't pay for the first time or had a cash flow, or at least were up to current assessments as of the beginning of the month period. So last month, we had 40 new complete delinquencies. So that's the number of people who got billed the full maintenance amount and did not pay that or any associated late fees. And then we had an additional 21 that were late. So they ended up paying either the full amount of the 351 plus or minus the late fee. So in total, we had about 61 people that were late on assessments that were not previously. So that doesn't include people who, for example, who stopped paying in March and have not started paying yet.
Yes, I noticed in reviewing that portion of the financials from Jeannie, and that is that some people, I couldn't print it all out at work,
Yeah.
but some people are running, when you go across their name, you see 351,
Yeah.
351, 30 days, 60 days, 90, and
Right.
then when you add it all up, it's
Right.
$787. So that means they have not paid their dues since
Correct.
this virus thing blossomed in
So
March.
the amount of another way of visualizing this, the amount of money that the association
we're
is
losing.
owed
Yeah.
between late fees and homeowners assessments increased by $50,000 last month.
Right.
Net.
And we have to say
That's
due
net
to
of,
the...
net of any payments or collection of A&R. All right. I'll mention quickly because I keep getting this question from homeowners, so I'll just mention it so that it's there and people stop asking about it. We did just a basic study into security cameras and what they would cost, just to get an idea of whether or not we wanted to include that in the reserve study or not. From what we have understood, it's too expensive. It's something like $45 a monthly unit.
Yeah.
So I just wanted that to be there so that people stop asking me about them. All right, so projects underway. The audit for us, they are waiting on us for docs. We're waiting on docs from GRU to send them, but we anticipate the audit being done by the end of this month, hopefully. The reserve study, which we approved last board meeting, we are getting one of their proposals tomorrow. We're getting another one on Tuesday. We have 2 more that are waiting on their reply. So that will start and should take between 3 and 6 weeks to complete. The water sub meeting is on hold. I do have a list ready for that. I'll provide to Randall once we're squared away on the reserve study and getting that started. And then the city, we're waiting on them to allow people to have meetings with them to go over the watering. And we'll CC Joe, and as soon as we can get them to actually let us talk to them. Some suggestions for the board based on the analysis for this month. Next year, I think it would be heavily beneficial when we do the vendor selection for the audit, that the audit provider should have to return the audit results like in February or March. It's kind of effective. I mean, it's not to say that it's useless, but it's a lot less helpful to get the 2019 audit in mid-2020, because if there was a mistake, we have a lot less options to correct it, right? Particularly, for example, if the audit was like, well, you're underpaid on taxes amounts, we'd ideally want to know before we pay taxes, because that way we could avoid an IRS penalty potentially on it. So that's I think it's really kind of a simple thing when we go to do the audits next year. I think that's one thing we should definitely have them do.
Wait a minute. Who does our tax report?
No, this is for the audits.
Our lawyer,
And they do the tax returns.
And they do the tax return as
So
well.
if they underpay, lawyers have a responsibility, whoever did the filings have a responsibility.
Yeah, in theory, but again, it limits our options to deal with anything that the audit discovers if they turn it to us this late. Is the primary concern that I have. So if, for example, a case in example is if they discovered a discrepancy in what a balance for an account should be, it's much more difficult the later we discover it to try to fix for it. If we find out about it early in the year, maybe we can look at it as a board and say, well, we're not really that concerned about it. We have money operating to cover it. Or maybe if it's significant, then the earlier we can get the information, I guess my point would be, is the better. And I just think it would be better not to have this audit come in late June for 2019.
Yeah, because
We did not get it.
if we got it by March 31st, let's
Right.
say, we'd have the ability to maybe make some adjustments earlier.
Right.
No, it should be till February.
Yeah, the sooner we get it, the better.
So
Would we-
predicated on what you've worked up so far.
Yeah.
What do you look at the projection for the end of the year in terms of net loss?
I don't have the number in front of me, but it's
Give me a guess.
several hundred thousand, probably 200,000-300,000 at least.
Okay, so you're looking at maybe 300,000?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're looking at either a $500 a unit assessment or maybe 1,000 assessment,
It depends on.
depending on how we need to set up
Well,
reserves and
it
replenish.
depends on depending on reserves. Some of the larger expenses from this year we won't have again in theory. So, for example, fences where we're way over this year. In theory, we would actually budget an operating expense amount for it next year, but it would be a lot lower than what we're spending because we're not actually replacing all of them. So, but yeah, where we'll get a lot of clarity on that is when the reserve study comes in, because that, as part of their job as a reserve study, will understand not only what our exposure is for the next several years, but also more particularly next year. So I think as soon as we get that in, like if we can get it in before the next board meeting, I think that'd be really good. I don't know if they'll be able to get it back to us that quickly, but we're definitely looking at a double-digit increase for sure.
But legally, we are not allowed to raise the monthly maintenance by more than a certain percentage.
We can really raise it 15%
Right.
without the approval of a quorum. There's I don't recite the law off the top of my head, but there's
Right.
something to get around that. Like if you cannot establish a quorum or something like this, there's something around. I remember from our HOA training there's a rule around that. At the end of the day, we have an obligation to our homeowners to make sure that the HOA is solvent first. We can't. As an HOA can't run hundreds of thousands of dollars in losses year after year. It just doesn't. That's not how it works.
Can we talk question? Do we pay for weed treatment separate or not?
I did not see a separate payment for weed
Did
treatment,
you?
no, but I mean, they generally bill us as one line item.
Mary Lou, when was the last assessment that we had? That was under Dennison, right?
Yeah, under Tennyson.
You mean an increase of?
2016.
We had
Oh, you mean-
500 and change.
Oh, you mean special assessments?
He,
Special.
yeah, he,
500
yeah.
or something.
He raised our monthly maintenance. He did, not a vote of the owners.
The board
I'm not
raised
worried
it.
about it.
Michelle is the one who came up when we raised it to $351. That
There was a
done
$6
in
there was a $6 assessment or a $6
No, we're talking
maintenance
about
increase.
Tennyson, yes, it
That
was,
was,
Yeah.
I'm not
Took
worried-
it
I'm not
from-
talking about
But
maintenance. I'm talking about
the last major one
a
was
flat
Tennyson.
assessment.
Assessment
And I
was
believe
maybe
that was under
$600,
Tennyson, and I
something
believe it
was,
was about 500 and something.
600 was something.
That's
something.
pre my time. I wasn't here in the community.
it was, I'm trying to remember, was it the flat roofs? I've forgotten, the replacement?
No, he
No,
just
sorry.
wanted.
He came in and when he
Well,
was,
we went from 287 a month to 350.
50, and on top of this, $600 special assessment because of we need to pay him 100,000 per year.
Yeah, I'd have to go
per year
back, I
salary.
still have that
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
but.
Anyway, the point is we'll know a lot more about what our maintenance will be next year once we get the reserve budget. Until then, it's like shooting a dartboard.
well, I don't want to get shy about this because we're looking down the face.
We're looking at a very substantial assessment. Oh, very
Okay?
substantial.
You're not going to make it up in dues.
Yeah.
Because we can't have the problem with dues that we have right now, where we have people not paying us. The other issue that I think, and I think Larry's addressed this, is that we need to start collecting that rentals
Yeah.
on these units that are defaulting on paying their maintenance, monthly maintenance.
Yeah.
Can't allow that to carry on. I wouldn't allow it to go more than 60 days.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, at this time, we don't know how long these people are carrying us. If somebody goes bad 60 days, they're going to go bad for longer than that, okay?
Yeah.
I don't see where we're going to recover that, and that's a big burden. I mean, it's about 12%, 61 people are 12% of
Yeah.
of our total number.
We
of
discussed
units.
last
Did you get
time.
a list from Jeannie of the unit numbers
The unit numbers of what?
that are delinquent?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
See to it that Randall gets a copy of that.
Okay.
He'll check to see if they're rentals or homeowners.
Are you not on CC'd on the Genie financial? Okay. Okay.
But we already discussed
And,
last month.
we will start collecting the rent on those units
Yeah.
until they're current with their assessments.
All right.
I mean, we can't just go on raising assessments and letting people go not paying.
I agree with that. However, even if you had the same amount of assessment collection percentage you had last year, we'd still be over budget, and it's just because of bad budgeting. There's just a lot of these things. The budgeted amounts are significantly below than the actual realized amounts for year after
But we had
year.
a lot of work going on. and
Yeah.
We
Oh, for sure.
obviously didn't address where we were expensing that.
Yeah.
I think we may have been under the impression.
I think part of it is keeping the assessments low. I think also part of it is just not having a adequate plan for what the capital projects that are going to take multiple years are going to take, and in terms of what reserves need to go in for them. Like particularly for fences, we came into this year knowing that fences was going to be ongoing. There was nowhere near an adequate amount in the reserve, and there was no budget item associated. Like that's a guaranteed overage. So.
Well, unfortunately, the way our financials have been done in the past is that when you run out of a reserve for the project because it's ongoing, like this one turned out to be, it's taken out of operating, and that's
Right.
what's getting us in trouble.
Yeah. Anyway, so I have two more things, actually three. So the first is, the other thing is, I think it would be very good. I'll mention this to Jeannie when I have a meeting with her. We really should get these financial reports earlier in the month.
Absolutely.
Because if we're getting them 2 days before the meeting, I don't like imposing deadlines of people getting me questions, but I mean, I have to have time in order to research them.
I agree.
And I think the problem too is, the reports also serve as an accountability for the board. If the board doesn't have enough time to go through them and get visibility on how the financing works,
Exactly.
it's not allowing our board to be accountable to the finances. So my proposal would be, at least the ask would be, I think that we need to ask Jeannie to return them the Monday prior to the meeting. And that would allow the board to have 7 days, to get them back to us by Monday, and that would give me 3 whole days, which is like an unbelievable amount of time to answer questions right now, versus getting the questions like 24 hours in advance. Second to last item is, I'll bring it up under treasurer's report just because I think it's a good idea to avoid potentially more expenses in the future. I know that Randall mentioned in his report that the permit for water is overdrawn, as mentioned last month. Just a thought to the board would be that we should petition for an increase in that over amount as opposed to just renewing it, because that way it'll give us more leeway in the future. we don't want to get in a situation where they revoke the permit basically, and then we have to pay for that water somehow, because that would just destroy our budget. And then finally, if anyone has things that they would like or they think that would be valuable to work on over the next 3 years, so concrete, power washing, etc., whatever, if you all could email me what those things are that we're going to have to do over the next 3 years, because I need to have a list so that way when we get the reserve, when we finally get the reserve company done, we have a list of the things that they also are going to have to cost out on top of what their normal process is, so that we make sure that they're accounted for properly. So I have a running list, but it would be good also if everyone could send me their list to make sure that their list is also on the list. And once we get back the reserve study, obviously we'll just sit down as a board and we'll just have to go through which expenses can we afford and which ones we don't want to afford, and that type of thing. So.
Okay, I will read you the sentence that I believe challenges you here, just very quickly. Forgive me.
That was it.
Are you through?
Yeah.
Is that your-
Okay, okay.
Yeah, Larry just handed the document, leasing and occupancy. However, what it says is, well, I find it, during the first 2-year period, ownership, okay. For future owners only, not a future owner. For future owners only.
That pertains to
The
the 2-year.
amendment would prohibit leasing during the first 2 years and establish a minimum lease term of 6 months, a minimum lease term for a new owner. This gentleman is not a new owner.
That pertains to, the new owner
Yeah,
pertains to
that's what you just handed
the
me.
2-year occupancy.
But it also
requirement.
continues, there's no period, there's no comma. During the first 2
Okay,
years,
so
period
it's
of
in our regular
ownership,
documents also.
and
I just can't
establish
find
a
it.
minimum
I
lease
read it
term of
today.
6 months.
Well, first of all, you made a point about 6 months. Why did we issue a 9-month lease?
We
He's
obviously,
not a new owner, number one.
yeah, so he didn't fall under the new owner
You can
law,
have-
which is 6
You
months.
can have a 9-month lease.
Hmm?
You can have a 9-month.
It's more than 6 months.
No, but, yeah, no, but Joe's question was, why did we approve a 9-month lease? Because
Because he
the
didn't
new,
want it.
but that's for new owners. He's an
No,
existing
not-
owner. Here are documents, we actually voted and
Why did
changed
you-
one of them. We voted on it and changed it.
Yeah, because I was collecting
So the old
signatures
the original
for changes.
document addressing this
Well,
issue
first of
was
all-
modified by us
First of all,
last
we
year.
got a couple months to research it, so we're not voting until I get something from it. I'll look for it in the documents, but this print is so horrible, I have to have.
Can I ask a question
should
about
magnify that.
financials? Question to our president. What is it $10,000 for counseling with our lawyer? Our lawyer charged $280 per hour. It's 35 hours during that month. What did you discuss with our lawyer for 35 hours? 45 hours, 19 minutes.
Does
This
that
is,
say 35 hours, 19 minutes of phone
they
time?
say $10,000 for counseling to you.
That includes, to be clear, that includes their research time. So if,
Yeah, research time.
so
What
if,
exactly?
if you had a question that was
why?
on the phone for an hour, and then they researched for an hour prior and did work for an hour after, that would be 3 hours.
Yeah, and it's 35 hours, 19 minutes for $10,000. If we charge if he charged $280 per hour, this is 295, even more. It means it will be like maybe 30 hours. What is per month? Why we have such a high bill? He extend his lease for 2 months, so we don't pay another bill to Rosin. Rosin costs us too expensive. Now, quarantine. We should be kind to each other.
I really, in all honesty, and I've said this before the meeting started, because of a combination of the new document, the new amendment, and for new owners only, and the fact that we just did a background check and everything, and everything was done, everything was approved,
Last year,
well, 6 months ago,
9 months. Well,
9 months ago, sorry, yeah, the end of last year.
whatever.
Now-
When did it start?
December.
September,
If you
yeah.
lived anywhere else, so background check would show you lived here.
Yeah.
That interim, so what else can you do?
So to me, because it will still keep it under 1 year,
Yeah.
I feel that we as a board have the right to vote
extend,
and
yeah.
extend this for 2
Okay,
months.
okay, motion on the table, I will, okay, who will second my motion?
I second it.
Who will,
Chris?
All in favor?
I
Yeah.
don't want to vote. I don't want to vote on something I haven't been able to research. If I know
I
we were going to come,
abstain.
but we already read you right
abstain.
now.
yeah, but
we read.
I don't know anything about it. And
But,
if I know in
but
advance
Mary
we were
Lou
going to
read
talk
you,
about it, then
read you the quote from
So,
our rules.
I'm not comfortable making a
take your vote, Natalia.
Yes, I vote
We're
yes.
2 yeses, Joe abstained.
I'm voting no. I don't want. Well, only because I don't, at the current
Abstain or
time.
no?
All right, so a no, and you're
No.
voting no. Okay, so the motion did not carry. Sorry, sir.
I'm more than happy to look at it again next month. But
Okay.
I don't.
Well, that's too
I-
late for this gentleman.
No, it isn't.
For late in,
Oh, it's at least
September,
still
October,
going.
November, December, January, February, March, April, May. His client,
let your
his
lawyer
tenant's been
contact
here
our
9 months
lawyer.
already.
Let us, yeah.
I did try and forward information to the board, but Randall went forward and he said he was not a middleman and that I should attend the board meeting, so that's why.
Yeah, we
Chris
have
doesn't
right to give
but Chris
our
did-
lawyer name.
May I finish?
Okay.
That's why Chris didn't have the information to make a decision tonight. All right, so the gentleman,
It's terrible.
the board has a fiduciary responsibility to the homeowners to be faithful
All right.
custodians of the funds they're entrusted with. I don't want to be litigious, and I don't want to cause you any fees from the attorney. So this is a win-win. You're getting HOA fees, and he gets to stay. I don't
We get our
understand.
HOA fees or we collect the
Pardon
rent
me,
anyway.
may I finish my statement, please?
You're not even supposed to be talking right now. I said at the end of the meeting.
Well,
I was addressed.
we allowed him, he was addressed by
No, he
someone.
was
Address
not.
his
You
question.
addressed him. He's not addressed.
I didn't address
The
him.
board
He
didn't address it.
asked if he could say something and I told him at the end of the meeting.
But why
Like
keep him
our
at the end of the meeting? if we
Excuse
discuss
me,
it?
this is not to discuss.
Listen, do you
We
have
are
heart?
running by
You're so
rules
cruel
of-
to all American people. I was
The
just
motion
shocked.
didn't
I
carry.
just shocked.
We'll research it
Our
and vote on
president
it again.
and ex-vice president, the
Natalia.
cruelest people who I ever
Natalia.
met in my life.
Natalia, I agree, but we're
Read
out
it.
the original amendment and made a new amendment. So the original amendment is no longer the legal
It's,
document.
no,
The
the
new
original,
amendment.
the new one only addresses new owners.
No, but it also mentions the others.
No, it mentions
Oh,
the
you just
two-year
handed it to
limit
me.
and it re-emphasizes that leases have to be a minimum of 6 months.
But this was going to be, if we give him 2 more, it's 11 months.
All right.
In-
I'm
He-
not
I'm trying to
arguing
find it.
about
And
it.
he's not a
Can
new
we move
owner.
on? We have an agenda.
Okay.
All right, well, I did want to mention about the minutes, just because, I did these minutes again, and it's got to be for the last time, unless I have to, charge, because it's not my function, it's your guys' function, somebody's got to step up and do it. I did it, one reason I did it because part of the audit, there's a lot of things that are needed to complete the audit, and they need the minutes of all, so far this year. So, I had, I went ahead and did it, but it's something, you guys gotta figure it out. Please, figure it out. Just, I guess, quick thing on the independent reserve study, Chris kind of touched on it. I got with a couple companies so far. Did you get in touch with any of them?
No, not outside of the
That's
ones you
something I
have.
heard you say that I wasn't sure, because I'll have a proposal by tomorrow on one and another one by Tuesday, she told me. But I asked her what would be the, once if we accept, would the company be like, what's the turnaround time? About 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So, I thought you said like, 3
No, I was
or 4
looking.
weeks,
I was
something
looking at
like
something else.
that. Yeah, so we got, hopefully.
Yeah. But I quoted the audit number instead of the. That's
And
fine.
then there's some other ones that I'm gonna approach and get some proposals from as well. What else? Real quick, I wanted to ask, kind of have individually asked, but I want to at least address the board with it. This sinkhole thing, or this, she huge divot, more than a divot, over on Saratoga by Natalia, has been roped off for a very long time. I quite frankly couldn't remember, still can't remember exactly what happened there. I know when Dee Dee was here and she was trying to get us to do, repair the outflows because a lot of them are rusted out or whatever. So we're going back a little bit in time.
Is it near the canal?
Yeah.
Or near the lake?
Yeah, it's right facing the lake off the
It's
sidewalk.
about 20 feet from the conduit that we put in.
So I just don't remember what happened there. Because here's the thing. I drive around a lot and all of a sudden I'm thinking, we got to take care of this. Let's fix this thing. And the landscapers are willing, have offered to fill it in with dirt, sod it for no charge. So he was about to do it. All I could do was say, yeah, he would have done it the next day. But I'm like, hold off a second. I got to, find out exactly what the problem is there. There could be something underneath there that needs to be repaired before we go just covering it up like, hey, nothing to see here. So
Is that where we put a new piece of pipe in?
No.
not right there,
And it
but
wasn't
about
there
20,
before.
30 feet down.
And it
Right?
wasn't there
And I just
before.
don't remember why this caved in. I don't remember,
Okay,
It's
can I
not
help you? It wasn't there when the original conduit fell in and we saw the deep depression. There was no depression on the opposite side, on the right-hand side of it. This is something new. And candidly, I'll tell you what, if I had my wherewithal for this board, I'd simply say, tell the guys to fill the damn thing in. If it washes out again, we know we got a water problem.
All
Right,
right, so
right.
that's why I wanted to bring it up to you guys, because if y'all are okay with it,
Since we're getting it done for free, we got nothing
Yeah,
to
we're
lose.
buying some time, and as
Right.
you say,
They'll do
it,
it for us.
well, we're buying time, like Joe's saying, and if it sinks again, we know we have a problem.
Right.
All right,
But
so-
it might last
And it
for
would
a
be
year.
water. If
But
it
might work
happens
for a
again, it will
year.
definitely be water
It might last
washing
for
it
a
out.
year, who
Okay.
knows? We might get lucky.
All right, so
Wouldn't we
I'll
hope?
have them do it. Hedges, we gotta start thinking about
Oh,
hedges.
yeah.
We got a lot of people just constantly complain about hedges, and I know we got some other things to talk about. Of course, Chris is mentioning how much, over budget on some projects we have, but what I do want to talk about with the hedges is that I got somebody that lives here that works for a landscaping company. I've mentioned this in manager's reports. That not under the guise of his company that he works for. His company works for, John Gerard. He works for. They do a lot of Palm Beach estates or whatever. He'll do it on his own time, where he's not with the company and we're getting charged, exorbitant amount. Because really, quite frankly, hedges are fairly cheap. You're talking, $6, $7, $8 a piece. And then he'll put them in, whatever he said he'll charge, we gotta have a price.
Yeah, and
but
we've been putting in 26 to 30 plants per hedge.
the important part
On
of it
average.
is, like, 'cause when we discussed it, he's like, hey, I'll come in on a Saturday, you tell me where, you want some hedges, and I'll put it in. And, but, give me the key to the pump house and water them in. I said, well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, no.
Let's back up a second. So, because they do need to be watered in. I mean,
Why
that
would you have a concern about the key to the pump house?
well, to turn on the sprinklers.
Steal it?
No. To turn on the sprinklers
Yeah.
to be watering, and then we have an issue with using too much water. So
But it's
I
not
just
drinking
don't want
water.
If we're putting in plants, we're gonna
But I
have to
don't want
water
him
them.
messing around
No,
with
but-
the timers and stuff like that when image.
Well,
That's
then
But
we
that's
could make
Image's
sure he
job.
understands how they work, so that this way.
The problem, to be clear, is that, as Randall mentioned last month, we're at the very limit of what we're allowed to draw from the lake. And
Right.
if we go over it again, they can revoke it. Well, actually, we're already at the point. They can revoke our permit.
I would think with all the rain
If they
we've
pull-
had
if
in
they pull
the
a
past
permit, like-
3 weeks,
Well, that's the thing.
we got a
That's the
little
city
help.
But we don't watering by drinking water. It's water from the
No, but
from
that,
the lake.
the lake
Let me
water
kind
is
of finish the
permitted.
report, and I'll kind of explain some things that will probably will save you from talking what you're talking about. All right, say this guy puts in, spends a Saturday to put in hedges. I can coordinate, well, first of all, the most important thing is to get them watered in, right? At the beginning. So After that, I can coordinate with Image to let them know, hey, we got new hedges at this unit over here.
Right.
Make sure they get water.
He'll-
And they will be very accommodating. I
Yeah,
know
he'll
they-
add another sprinkler head, just like he's always done. That's what they do. Yeah, no, they do. They did it for my hedge. They just put little
Mary
sprinklers.
Lou.
That's not necessary. But,
It disrupt
so,
pressure, water
I'm
pressure.
just trying to bring it up to ask you guys, do you want me to go forward with trying to get a price and from this guy to go ahead and do some hedges? And
We
how
we
many?
have
First of
to
all,
decide what
license
plant.
and insure.
Well, under his company, but him himself, no. It's just.
Oh, we can't use
just
his
throwing
But
some-
what he
throwing some
can
plants in the
do,
ground.
what he can do, Mary Lou,
Well, the problem
what
is,
harm he can
gets
do?
hurt, who's liable? We
He's-
are.
No, we can't.
He's not gonna-
He lives here, he will not kill himself.
No,
under
it
this.
doesn't-
He's been wanting
Oh
to
my
do this
God,
for
we
a long
save a lot
time
of
to
money.
help us out. A long time. He's been after Joe forever.
We can save a lot of money. And
yeah.
can I have a
He's a
question
good
to
guy,
Randall?
by the way.
I know a guy that was a plumber up north and is young and came down here, got into another business. But he's one hell of a plumber, but he's not licensed.
But
I
Mary
can
Lou-
use them, but the board can't use them.
This guy has been in
Landscaping.
dealing with landscaping.
Yeah.
So many years,
Yeah,
yeah.
no,
yeah.
I'm not against him.
Can I ask a
I
question?
just want to cover
Randall?
our butt.
Very important, Mary Lou, it's on the recording.
We have to,
Can I ask
before
a
we
question?
talk,
How
we
many
need to
how
pick
many
a
hedges
hedge.
are
We
how
need
many
to pick a
hedges
variety.
are we talking about?
There's
in a
at least
plant? 'Cause
20.
you know, we talk about hedges and we get this ether out there. We don't know what the hell we're
There's at
talking
least
about.
20.
Like the fences, we don't know what we're talking
No,
about.
no, no. The hedges, there's at least 25 on 50 and 51st that need to be replaced.
Go. Okay,
I
fine.
did the count last year and again this year.
And another, can I ask a question?
Including
about-
mine.
So at $6
Can I
a piece, that's
answer
$360
Can I
bucks.
answer the one question first?
Go ahead.
Can I ask a
Don't know
question?
how many. We have to go around and
Yeah, you count your
assess
way,
the
I count
situation.
mine.
I'm just asking, can we start doing this, you know? So-
Not until
and
we
then-
select a variety of hedge we're going to plant.
Well, of course.
Of
but
course
that's-
it's good.
Of course. I'm just talking, I'm not just gonna run out tomorrow and go, I'm talking about, do you guys want to do it or not want to do it?
I'm agree.
How much-
I've been
agree.
ignoring people.
How much money do we have in hedge reserves
for a
right
very
now?
long time.
We have people who've been very patient, and we said when the rainy season comes, and that's what I
We've
said
been
to
saying
Randall.
this for a long time.
We need to
How
get
much-
something done.
How much
I think
do we
there's-
have
I
in
think there's
hedge
three
reserves?
Three things that need to, first of all, if we're not okay with not using a licensed person, then none of the rest of this conversation matters.
Right.
Yeah.
So is everyone okay with that or not?
Okay,
I have
okay.
no problem with it.
I
It's
have
like
no
having a
problem.
handyman.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Second thing, we have a lot of money in hedge and tree reserve. Okay, we
No,
wanna-
hedges and trees are two different.
I'm talking about them both together.
Oh, but hedge
'Cause,
reserves
yes,
are
'cause
one
they
thing.
always come up in somehow in concert in
Yeah,
conversation.
but they're
we
two
have
different
a lot of money in
reserves.
both reserves. Okay, we can cover a number of hedges because, as Joe mentioned, hedges are very cheap, particularly if he's not doing it, for the company, because the margin cost will be a little. So that's not a problem to me. I have no problem in the idea of, at the very least, getting a quote from the person
Can
for
I-
how many we have to do.
But
'Cause
first we have to pick the plant. Because every plant is a different price, like the
Why would we
clusia
decide?
we planted
Well, he-
versus,
We will not use
He's only going to be
clusia.
quoting us labor because we can buy the hedges ourselves.
Yeah.
but we still have to
Correct.
vote on a
From the
plant.
nursery, right?
We s-
Well,
Or will
he
he-
can get them at a very good cost. I think
Right,
he gets them
right.
at a very
I don't
good-
know,
very
like-
Can I
cheap.
ask question?
Not making money.
Господи, so many. Can I ask question to Randall? Randall, I went to 45th Street in a little nursery. It's hedges exactly like we have, because we have different hedges.
well, we don't want the
we have-
ficus anymore. They have to go.
I don't talk about ficus. We talk about hedges. What was replaced? It's white fly
Resistant.
resistant,
Right, right.
and the retail cost $5.
Yeah.
And this is what kind of this is told.
It
3
depends on
gallon.
how many
And-
gallon they
Like a
are.
3 gallon or
Yeah,
7 gallon. You
it's
want to get
enough.
the smaller one.
Yes, and it's
That's all you need.
it was
They
exactly.
end up being 7
Yeah,
gallon
it's
in a little
retail.
while.
No,
Yeah,
can
yeah.
I can I finally finish,
Well, ask the
guys?
question.
Okay. Retail $5, and I asked the guy who worked in there. They buy wholesale because when they buy 50 plants, they pay from $1 to $1.50 for each plant. It means they're very cheap. We
Yeah,
can
so-
go to buy
Well, then
not
we can
for
buy them ourselves.
not for $6 or $8. We can buy them maximum for $2.
Sure.
And we can bring them here, and we can,
Sure, if that's the
blend
case, like
them.
I would
Yes.
compare, I would get a price, I would ask him first.
This is important.
Say, hey, well, what, and then if I thought it was too much, and I know I can get it cheaper, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go get it cheaper.
Because situation is very bad. We already did
And then just
expensive
ask
projects.
him how much he
Now we
charged
need to
to
save
put 'em
money
in.
for something,
Right?
All right,
because our residents will
You
kill
know,
us if we
the idea of
give
having
special
somebody with
assessment.
experience picking a hedge out versus
Yeah.
you going to pick a hedge out is night and day. You
Oh, sure.
understand that?
Oh, yeah, I'm not,
Okay?
I wouldn't even.
So all I'm saying is,
I
if you
just-
got somebody who has years of background, and we
Sure.
know,
We
okay,
just tell-
is a neighbor who knows us,
Sure.
okay?
I
We
mean,
should be able to rely on his integrity that he'll do the job,
Sure.
and the cost, we can always determine, nah, that's a little bit too much.
Right, exactly.
I would
Of course.
go just get a quote for what he suggests in terms of hedges and what he
But we
suggests for
would be
labor and
telling
get
him
separate
what
quotes
hedge
for
we
this.
want.
Yeah, we want to tell him what we
Right,
want.
then we
yes.
have, right.
And quite frankly, I don't know what's some of the new ones, like in mine, for example. I see ones that are,
Well,
that I have
the
are around a lot.
last, the
They're
last
nice.
area
They're
that
really
was
nice.
done totally was mine, 1551st. All the hedges were replaced except for maybe 20 ficus that had been just planted within a few years, and so the board at that time would not
I'm
dig
gonna
up
ask for a
them.
rebate on my dues.
So, but here's the point.
My hedges are original.
Well, lucky you, lucky you.
All right, so
But
I just want to
anyway,
know if it's okay
And I
that I
don't have
start
white flies
talking
in
to
it's fine, but
someone
I don't
and
see
I'm not
hedges
gonna
in the
go act on
reserves.
anything until I
We
have
can-
all the information.
We can move,
I
we
just
can
want
make
to
it
know if I
work.
can move
Well,
forward.
how,
with it.
how,
Please.
Yes, yes,
we don't
we need
have hedge
final.
reserves officially.
Can we have a motion on this?
I think it would be good just to get the number, if we don't do it this year, at least we have a number that we can budget for next year.
Start researching the hedges that we need to get replaced.
I don't see a
I
downside. of
second
getting
that
a quote.
motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Sure.
Aye.
So yes, you can do it.
But what about plumber? You have
All right, so let
trained
me just go
plumber.
on so I can finish this up. I was just going to talk about, a lot of things that I've been doing with occupancy changes, finding people that are living in here that haven't gone through the association, application process. And in two instances, one is moving out, another one, they're selling their unit. The owner is now selling the unit because of some of these things that I've kind of discovered. So I'm finding, and there's several more. It's just there's not enough time in the day, but I keep at it. We've got a situation where there is an owner who has someone living in their unit. Never has had a lease or anything, and a lot of this stuff I find well, because I kind of know what I'm doing when I'm trying to get some information, but it was talking to this lady was about the fence. But so when she first addressed me for the very first time, she goes, "My tenant said that you were at the unit, gotten the numbers off or whatever, the fence being worked on. Mark is currently on our building." And then, so to make a long story short, she referred to the woman living there as her tenant. I started looking at stuff. There's no lease, no common ground security. There's stuff like that. So when I find, and no information, no contact information either. But she emailed me, like I said, "My tenant told me you were there, blah, 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 blah." She wants to talk about her fence. Now she has her phone number. Now I get to call her. Okay, I talk about her fence, and I go, "Oh, by the way, I need to talk to you about this situation." Well, after the conversation, telling me the woman that lives there pays $500 a month, and so-and-so, and I said, "Well, you've got, she's not approved to live there. You have to, I need to send you an application. You got to have this, all these things that she has to do. All right, send me an application." Sent her an application, and now all of a sudden the woman is her sister. So that spurred some legal stuff, as far as how we're going to approach this.
That's why I need lawyers.
Yes. So we're dealing with that as we speak. But at the moment, she has to bring some information to me to prove that she is her sister. And not only, and even if that's the case, she still has to go through the approval process, regardless. If it's a family member, she still has to be, if she's living there for more than 30 days, she has to go through, and that's in our docs, she has to go through, the approval process. So I'm dealing with that right now. And that's the stuff that, I uncover on a daily basis. Another one, I thought maybe she might be here today. I've got an owner who lives out of the country, rented this place for a long time. Last year, this property manager took over this property from another previous property manager. She never updated the associate, like, I'm talking about last year, so CAMS, type of thing. She never updated her fact that she's managing this property, no contact information. So when I'm mailing out, when all the mailings are going out, she's not getting them, obviously. So I discovered, or I had to track her down, and this is back in January, and told her, just like all the mailings that were sent out, because that's how, I got a return, the mail got returned. I'm like, oh, I know that one. All right, so let me see what's going on. I contact the property management that was on file. All right, we no longer manage the property. Okay. I go to the tenant. Tenant didn't want to give me the. I said, who's the owner? What's the? I need a phone number. I'm trying to explain that I need this information. He wouldn't even tell me. It took me a few days to finally convince him. Like, listen, Dave. And he's a nice guy, but for some reason he didn't want to tell me. Some realtor. All right. Turns out she's a realtor property manager. All right. So I get a hold of her, and I tell her, just like I would tell anybody there at the beginning that, hey, you got to register at HOA.com. Then you got to do this. You got to do this. Blah blah blah. Got to give it the general ledger. That was just that. That's at the beginning, and that's all I cared about was getting my data up to date, right? And tell her what she needs to do. Now, as I'm, how Larry mentioned how I'm spending a lot of time researching owners that have tenants that are in arrears that we're going to start going after to collect the rent from the tenant, which we have the authority to do. Well, I see an age report and I see that unit is in arrears by quite a bit. So I thought I was being nice by contacting this woman and saying, hey, you got to get, dying,
More than 90 days?
What's going, yeah.
Is she paying a
Okay.
property manager the rent?
The what?
Is she paying her rent to a property manager?
No, I'm talking about a property
She's
manager.
on a payment plan.
Well, not,
Excuse
not
me.
now. She's
No,
paid.
no.
You
She's paid.
I know what
Excuse
you're-
me,
I know
I'm
what
not
you're asking.
stupid here. I need a clear answer.
What?
You have a unit, 51 nothing, okay? There's someone living in there who's not the owner,
Right.
who's a renter,
Right.
but she has a property manager, according to what you just
Well,
said.
it's
who
not-
the property manager gets the money. She pays her rental check to the property manager, who remits it to us, correct?
Then, yeah, she's responsible for paying the
Okay,
dues.
she's out of the equation. We go to the property, she's
Right.
out of the equation.
'Cause if
We go
she
to the
gives the
property
money to the
manager,
property
and
manager-
we
That's what I'm
go,
talking about. I'm talking about the property manager.
well, then we serve them with a document
Yes.
All right,
suing them for the monies that they owe us.
Okay, hold on. You're not letting me finish the whole thing.
They're current.
They're current.
Oh, they're current. Okay, so where are we going here?
I'm just letting you know, well, actually, the reason why I'm bringing this one up is because she wants to fight us over late fees, legal fees, interest that she had gotten
The
charged.
renter?
No, the property
Property
manager.
manager,
The
okay.
property.
Her
She
manager.
can
Okay.
fight us. She can fight us, and she'll pay our attorney too.
Right.
That's, like
and I
saying,
kinda
if
thought that she might
anybody
be,
has
because
their
she's been-
attorney call our attorney, they're billed for our attorney's time while they're talking to our
Because
attorney.
she's been wanting to address the board over this. I told her, come, just like I tell Mr. Bukar,
The owner or the property manager wants to
Property
come?
manager. The owner lives in like
A
India.
property manager can't come to a meeting,
Excuse
the
me,
owner
Well,
has
she's an
to.
authorized representative, so
Oh.
she actually
Is
can.
he-
Okay,
Yes.
all right. She has a document that states that, okay.
But, so I was like, you know.
We're not gonna, Randall, we're not gonna entertain
All right,
any.
the reason I'm
But we're
bringing
not
it
gonna,
up is just to let you
just
know
let me
when I
make
go
a
through, that's
point
all.
here.
It's no big
We're
deal.
not gonna
It
entertain
has to do
a,
with, there's lawyers involved and again.
And everything he goes through, I go through with him.
excuse me, Larry,
And then
I'm
we go to
just
Larry.
trying to
No,
clarify
I
a
know,
point.
Joe, but I'm just.
If
trying to
we
make
have a
point
property
to
manager
Natalia.
who's defaulting on paying debts that are owed to us, okay? She has nothing to do to come to us, because we ain't gonna rescind it. Tell her to go talk to Rawson. Give her Rawson's number. Because that fee and those charges are hers and not ours.
I know, we know that. And she's already paid them, but she wants to address the board.
Now
to
she
try
wants
and
her
get-
money back.
She wants the late charges back. Fiddle-dee-dee.
So I'm just, the only reason why I brought it up is
The
just
answer
that
is
it's
no.
a slew of things that I
And
discovered.
this is,
and
he's only scratching the surface out of 524 units, out of all the problems. That's why I get involved with Rawson so much, because I have to have legal opinions before I say what we can do and what we can't do.
Chris,
That's my
But if they're,
obligation.
may
is
I
there any
just,
way we could do is send out a legal document mailing where we require the owners to comply when we get this kind of information, that we could determine what's renting and what's not renting?
Sure. You'd have to do a change to the. You could adopt that as a rule, probably. I'd have to look into that for next meeting. I wouldn't say I could give you
Because
this
we
one.
could do something like
Yeah.
that, we get them on record that we've notified
The
them.
best part of it is, Joe, everything's in here.
I understand it being in there, but the problem is out there. They're the ones that are not being honest with us. They're circumventing those things that are in our rules and regulations and our bylaws, and they're getting away with it.
And may I jump in here?
Most POAs have have at least a rule, if it's not in the covenants, that the owners of a unit in a POA or HOA managed association have to keep the contact information and the ownership information of the unit on file, particularly if they are renting. So,
Oh, regardless.
yeah,
Oh,
and
they have to- it's their
and that's something that we.
So what we could do then is take a motion, Larry, on these units as we discover them, to do an eviction.
may I just jump
We
in
don't- we
and
don't
say
need- We
something?
don't need a motion on that.
No, but
We
may
have
I
the right to
jump,
do it.
may I just jump in and make a suggestion?
Go ahead.
If we have this property manager who's managing this unit, she wants to get reimbursed for the late fees, etc. Okay, so what we do is we make it official. We don't have to go to Rawson. We send her a letter stating, this is what you owe the association, this is what you
We've
paid.
already done that, and
Oh.
she's paid.
Okay,
But
so,
she just wants to address the board and say, hey, can I please have my money, some of my money back? That's
why,
all
well,
I'm
let's
saying.
just write her a
It's
letter and
already-
say, no, she may not.
I've already done that.
But
I've
not,
already been there.
oh, well
This
then
is
why
all
do we have to go to
yesterday's-
Why we
Rawson and
discussing
spend
that?
more money?
We
It's
didn't go to
We
Rawson.
didn't
I
go to
told him to
Rawson.
do it.
And has she come back to us when you said no a second time? Has she contacted
Now
you
she wants the
again?
number of our
I-
attorney.
Well, good, let her call.
Randall just made.
First of all, she's a renter. If she's
No,
not.
she's the property manager for this tenant.
I shouldn't even bring stuff up with it.
Property
Okay,
manager
forget
have
that.
rights,
It's
even if they
yesterday's
have,
news.
Well,
Okay,
she
okay.
may
It's
have a
yesterday's
real estate
news. Can I
license.
finish
Who
my
the heck
report?
knows? I don't know.
Mary Lou,
Yeah.
she finished her.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, all right.
And actually, maybe it's just this last thing, unless I talk about concrete, but regarding the dogs, you all
Yeah,
mentioned,
yeah.
okay? I
Yeah.
know all about it, and they have the proper documentation.
Oh,
by law
for
to
the
have
new,
those dogs. Yes,
the new dog I told you about.
two new dogs.
Oh,
I
well,
know
no,
exactly
but
what you're talking about, who it is,
the
who
one
they
I
are.
called with John Rossi.
Yes.
Yes, okay, so it is already cleared up, because John,
Not cleared up, it's they're allowed to have them because they just bought the place,
right.
and they have the proper documentation. and
Right.
By law, we can't deny that.
I'm not looking to deny it. John
know.
Rossi
Okay,
just called.
The conversation should be over because I'm just
May
clarifying that
I
I know
speak
about it.
since I'm the one that brought it to your
No,
attention?
I brought it, this is my manager's report, and I'm just trying to get through it.
Okay, but
That's it,
I just wanted
period.
to
There's nothing
say,
else to talk about other than I know about it. That's all. That's it. Let's leave it at that. That's it.
I'm very happy, I will tell John
It's-
Rossi
You
that
tell
they are
John,
properly
send them flowers and
documented.
say they're good. that they're okay.
Don't you think it's nice that a homeowner is paying attention
No,
to a
that's
pit
fine,
bull
but I don't
on
wanna
the
keep-
property?
We keep,
A brand new pit bull?
it's like two of them, in fact. Trust me, I wasn't in favor of it, but I couldn't do anything about it. Because
So
they
they're
were
service dogs or whatever you call
Yes.
them?
Emotional support animals.
Right, okay, okay,
Period, done.
okay.
And
And the
then,
first documents that they provided were not sufficient, so
so I had to make them do what they had to do to
What unit was
meet
that?
the requirements of the law.
As you first pull in on the left, one of those
This
two?
one.
Yeah, okay, okay.
All right, so, all right, I'll just talk about concrete because I thought.
well, talk about the tree roots, because I suggested that maybe we could do what Natalia suggested
All right,
a year and a half ago, and cut the roots and put the boundaries so that the roots can't grow where we don't want them to grow.
all right, so I've got.
Compare prices, maybe it's less than cutting trees down.
All right, so I'm meeting with two different, well, All Brothers, number one, of which we've already approved their proposal
Right.
for a number of trees, okay? So they'll come and do that, when we tell them to come and do it. But there's some other trees that have come up after the fact that are causing problems to units, major problems that's costing us money in plumbing because of the roots, okay? So, these are kind of two new ones that we have to discuss. So when Larry and you saw Mary Lou,
Yeah.
Roger, to try and, look at some things and, we're just trying to think like, why can't we just cut the roots and kind of, stop what's happening from happening,
Yeah, it's
And I
less
know,
cost.
Natalia, we've brought this up for a very long time.
Sure.
About root barriers and such. So with the two companies that we've gotten proposals from.
Who's the other besides?
Timberland.
Who? Timberland?
Timberland.
Timberland, okay.
He's gonna meet me, actually, All Brothers gonna meet me Tuesday. But Timberland, actually, the guy didn't come back yet, but the guy's gonna come out and meet me. Now, here's the thing. I asked them both. I want their opinion, professional opinion, or tree service. What do you feel about cutting roots?
Versus
And
cutting
they both
down the
know the
tree.
properties very well. They know our
Yeah,
property, know,
Yeah, yeah.
Well, one's like, yeah, well, we, put a root barrier, and he tells me how he's gonna do it, 12 inches down, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff, blah, 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 and tells me what the product is and how it changes the direction, forces the direction of the roots, okay, da, 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 okay. So I said, well, I still want you to come out, because there's at least a couple trees that I want to,
Show you.
I want to show you. I want
Right.
to talk more
Of
about
course,
this,
of
right?
course.
So I can have a good understanding, a little bit more.
Especially where concrete's involved or.
Yeah,
or-
so
or-
he's going to come out. Now he's like, oh yeah, root barriers. Now the next guy I talked to is like, how do you feel about cutting roots? He goes, listen, man, you're just wasting your money. It's just putting a Band-Aid on it. It doesn't work. He goes, you want me to do it? I'll do it. But I'm telling you,
They grow back.
it's a waste of money. Don't do it.
Well, let me
So,
say this to
he's
you.
going to come out again. He's going to come out just like the other one.
But what he proposing?
Okay, well, let me,
Well,
yeah.
he's
let me-
saying, no, remove the tree.
He
May I-
remove
may
because
I-
he will make money.
I believe that, I think the same way, I know,
Randall.
but this is what you're getting on both sides,
May I-
when you can talk to 5 people, and who do you you gotta really think about the underlying situation.
What kind of tree is this
Okay.
we're talking?
These are ficus.
Ficus?
Mainly the ficus. Randall, may I jump in? For example, and I'll just pick the one by me because we've all looked at it a zillion times since
One by the fire hydrant?
2016. Yeah, between the dumpster and the mailbox.
One by the fire hydrant.
By the fire hydrant, okay.
I just went around and, there's several spots that, I wanted to pick out the ones that we definitely were gonna go forward with concrete repairs, and there's definitely 2 or 3 that,
Need immediate attention.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree.
So-
And we're covering our butts by doing that too. And we made a plan last year that it would be an ongoing 4 or 5 year
Well, we
plan.
got $100,000 in the budget for
Right.
time-wise.
Right, but the fact is, we got to do it.
some of this stuff.
And that, as you said,
Question
legally,
about
that
concrete.
helps us too, because we have a plan and
We have a
we're
plan
implementing
and
it.
we're acting on it.
Exactly.
Mary Lou,
exactly.
very important
All right, I'm
question
finishing
about.
my minute.
You finished already.
Okay.
One question about concrete.
Okay, Chris has a question, go ahead.
Question, Natalia asking question about concrete. Some new concrete, what they repair on 65th Way, they have 3 cracks of new concrete. Will they come to fix it? Because we have warranty.
All depends on what's causing it, but they should fix it.
2 cracks happen right away when they fix the concrete, because in several days they needed remove broken concrete, and they throw huge stone of concrete to break it because they could not lift it and put on top of their truck. And this is they caused that cracks. And I sent you pictures. And somebody from you last year, and I have this picture with dates, and somebody from you answered that they will fix, they come when they come start new work. They will fix.
All right, so Randall, make a note of that, so that
Yes,
we get
and I send you pictures again.
Well, go
Send you
look,
pictures.
go look at what she's talking about, and then let's look at the
Yes.
contract. Is it more than a year or less than a year?
No, it's
Not
right
quite a
away
year.
after they
It's about
several
maybe
days.
10 months.
10 months, okay, so
Several
we have
days.
time if there's a 1-year warranty. No, 10 months, Joe
Is
just
this
said.
Shenandoah we were talking about?
Yeah,
that did
that's
the work?
We don't know.
No,
that
Saratoga
you're
North.
One more
Concrete
question
did it, Joe
to
says.
manager about manager report. I sent everybody video where I recorded how our landscapers spraying herbicide very close to the roots of the plant, very close to the roots of the trees. And I have pictures, put picture on that video that damage to the trees. Because on the next day after that spraying, most leaves fall down, and they dried. And you can see on the video only 3 minutes, please watch it.
But, and by the way, to the answer, because you asked about, are they charging for this? No, it's in their contract. You
Okay.
said it wasn't, but it is in their contract.
Yes, but they do herbicides instead of trimming, because they saving money on workers.
Going up to the fact that 32 years ago, I took 2 gallons of Roundup and put it next to that ficus tree that was giving me a lot of trouble.
Right.
And it just got bigger and stronger.
Yeah.
Okay?
No, it's
Well, it isn't the tree it's killing, it's dogs, cats.
So I'm not saying the herbicide
Wildlife. Yeah.
did not cause that tree to drop.
you
away.
cannot say anything against that proof.
Okay, now, before we let this
Okay.
gentleman speak,
Yeah.
All right.
I have a quick question for Chris.
Okay. Yeah.
Have you been able to get anything at all on water?
No, so as I kind of mentioned that. So right now, our focus right now is on the reserve study and getting that taken care of. Once we get the reserve study done, we have a list of vendors that we can start pursuing in order to do the sub-metering. And with the city side of that, so because there's separate things, with the city side of that, they're not currently doing meetings. At the time that I tried to schedule them, they were not doing
You
meetings at
said that
City
in
Hall.
your review.
And then, I'll try reaching out to them. I've been going to try reaching out to them every week until they start giving me a meeting time.
Okay.
But yeah, I just have 2 quick questions for Randall that affect the treasury thingy. The first question is the status where we are on parking permits.
This report, you told us that.
I was
Yeah,
busy
well, I
looking
mean,
for,
I know, I know.
gotta order them still.
Okay, I just wanted to, whenever you
I'm just so hesitant on which, because I really want the ones where I can fill in the number.
Yeah.
I really want that,
Okay.
but it may not be able to do that.
But it
Okay.
will fade out because of sun.
Yeah. Anyway, as soon as you get the number.
Not necessarily, because I'm thinking about maybe having a stamp that I can change the number and stamp.
Right. I'm just saying as soon as you get the number for what it's going to be, I just would like to know. So
Oh, I can tell you right now.
Okay.
I mean, it'll be, you gotta order 10, 11 boxes at about $55 a piece.
Okay. And the second one
Did
is.
I call you and leave a voicemail?
Mary Lou.
I thought you were finished,
No,
I apologize.
second question is, so the last time we were at the 2-month over 12 period over on the draw for the South Florida Water Management permit for the, did they ever reach out to us about the fact that we were over again?
No, I've
Okay.
employed it the last, and see what happens with that, and I can explain that a little bit. See, the sprinklers they have wet sensory. Like, in other words, when it
Right.
rains,
Right,
sprinklers don't come on as often.
correct, they're
Right.
censored.
So that's why that problem kind of subsides when you start getting into the rainy season.
Right.
So
Okay.
that, when he told me that, hey, third time or whatever, this and that.
Yeah.
One was last July.
Yeah.
It's in a 12-month
Right,
period.
right, right. Rolling, right?
So.
Is there a way we can petition for that permit for the draw to be
To
higher?
get, I doubt that. I can't imagine that.
Well, I mean,
whatsoever. It doesn't hurt to ask.
It doesn't hurt to ask, but if we, I know, I'm sure that they're going to drag their feet on whatever that process would be. So if we could start it now during the rainy season, maybe they'll have approved it by the dry season.
It's a matter of keeping up on, like,
Yeah.
repairs,
Right.
that they're not just flowing water.
Yeah.
We really should be in good shape now until about November.
Yeah, like in other
Right.
words, we don't have to worry about it because a 12-month period will have gone by
Right.
where we're not going to be over, and then we'll be starting a new 12-month period.
And that's why we put the power washing off, because of the rainy
Power washing
season.
has nothing to do
Well, the
with
rainy season, which we're in now.
Yeah, the power washing has nothing to do
By
with
the way, I'm getting-
the water management.
I'm getting requests from homeowners that want their sidewalks cleaned. or
Well,
black,
that's
so-
what Edva has a power washer
Yeah, we're
for.
gonna have to start doing some.
Edva
touch-up.
should do one day
Chris.
a week, just exclusively work on
The
power
worst
washing.
Follow up on your
One
point.
day a
I'm gonna
week?
talk to him
Yeah,
about
Okay.
I
that.
agree, we gotta do something,
Well,
because.
I never noticed it about
Carmen,
our
the
lakes.
guy we
About the
had
what?
when we
I never noticed
self-managed,
about our
he
lakes.
did the one day
bring it
a
up in
Okay.
a second.
and we were not under such big pressure.
Yeah,
Larry, if I may,
yes.
Yeah.
our lakes right now, are there any outflows where they release water out of those lakes?
From the lake somewhere else.
Yes.
Not my, I mean,
You're not
these
aware.
are a spaghetti,
Yeah, they're
Okay.
a chain.
network
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
Okay.
They're
The
a
reason I
chain.
ask this, because
They're a
I've
chain.
been to certain developments
I mean,
where
there's locks.
where
Yeah.
they have locks, which they
Right.
can open up to release the pressure and let the water flow off. I know we don't control that,
yeah.
since that's the
POA.
the
Yeah, I
city
can
of
tell you
West
that-
Palm
Or the
Beach.
city.
It's
Yeah,
actually
the
the
city.
stuff,
But if we get a drop in water, okay, and they're measuring water, okay, in terms of what's going on in the lake, I don't want us being held accountable for what they're siphoning off.
They're measuring
No, no,
water
it goes
usage.
by-
They're
it goes
measuring
by
water usage from a
meters.
meter on the
We-
pump,
I have
not by
to-
the lake level.
Yeah, well, and when did we have those meters checked? When did they ever check?
They
what, like calibration?
Yeah,
You mean being calibrated? Like
Yeah.
enough for accuracy, you mean?
don't find out if they're accurate. Well, we're paying for it.
If I
We're not
recall
paying for-
from
we're not
previous
paying for
years,
anything.
they're
We're not paying for
inspected,
anything.
they're inspected, if I recall
The
from
water, we're
previous
not paying
years.
for it?
No, the
For
meters.
For the sprinklers? No, we're not.
Because we're using the water out of the lake.
Correct.
Right.
But we're responsible. We have to have a permit to use that water to use.
To
the
water
water
our
to
grass,
water our
to
lake,
water our
Jonas-
grass.
water our
Jonas'
land.
point
So
is
we
that-
have 4 pumps.
Joe's point is that he would
Right.
like to see when the last time the meters were calibrated, so that we
Right.
can ensure we're actually making it up to the point at which the permit, becomes.
Exactly.
I've said for accuracy. You're talking
Yeah.
about like
Yeah,
calibrating for
I want
accuracy.
to, are they working
I
properly?
have no idea.
Do you know that
I-
we
I-
have sinkholes?
Well, it's
I
not
don't
our
know, it's
job,
not during my
see,
time
it's-
at MTNA.
It's our job because
There are
we're
pumps.
paying for it.
Well,
Correct.
we're not paying for anything.
That's right.
Paying if we go over
No.
and they,
No, we're not paying
No,
for anything.
no.
We're
It's
not
just a
paying for
permit that they
anything.
won't.
It's a
But it will
permit
be our
that-
responsibility if we want to check the pumps for accuracy.
Right,
That
then
be
we
our
would have to pay for that.
It's
Okay.
very important.
I understand.
Very important. We have sinkhole, and we're 65th way in canal because of
We talked
something.
about that earlier.
Some two holes appears and suck water under the ground. Do you
We
know
talked
about
about
that?
something
This is the one we just
earlier.
talked about.
No,
We are-
on
yes, it
canal,
was.
not on lake. We
No,
have canal,
65th
we
way,
have
we
lake.
talked
lake.
about it.
I talk about long canal. What is
What about it?
Okay.
It was
I'll
two
take a look.
sinkhole appear and close to the bank of the canal and suck water under.
Where is this at?
2 weeks ago, it were my eyes. I was walking with the
I'm
dog.
asking you, where?
but where?
Canal.
I
Where
mean,
is it,
canal.
where is it in relation to your
Canal on
house?
65th or canal
No,
on
no.
what?
It's a canal where we have lake, we have canal. Do you know that it's
canal- the
canal is
between
on-
the canal is very
between
long.
Yeah, the canal
That's
is
a long
long.
canal.
Where do you
long
mean?
canal between
The one
north and
behind
south.
67
Yeah,
that
but
canal.
where? By
know,
what?
but-
We are 65th way.
What street?
You don't listen.
So it's by 65th way.
That's what
Okay,
you
thank
said,
you.
by 65th.
We're 65th way. I repeated several times. We're 65th way. I went with my dog, walked my dog, and I front my eyes. It was sinkhole appears and suck out a lot of water under. It was huge sand appears without water. The
Interesting.
water just went underground 2 weeks ago.
So this isn't the one we were talking about near the
No,
last
no, that's what I
repair?
was-
That
This
should be
is the second
reported,
one.
by the way, to
Yes.
water people. to
That's right.
West
Well,
Palm
I
Beach.
just have to go check it out and see what you're talking about.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
don't
and
need to
then- and
get
then
involved
report
in
it,
any
and then
expected
report it, yeah.
It was
investigation.
maybe a
Just
little
report it. If
fill-in,
we're
I do
visible,
not know right
report
now.
it.
Maybe it's fill-in, but that in front of my eyes, I was shocked.
So 60, sinkhole, 65th, and the canal.
65th the canal. Canal was between
Like right
north
behind your
and
building?
south.
Like right behind your building?
Yes.
Behind my building,
I'll
where
go look at it. I'll look at it tomorrow.
6513, I think it's in front of the
I'll look at
unit.
it tomorrow.
And Randall, I think I called and left you a voicemail about the outdoor light at Building 116 is off.
That's FPL, she has to get them out.
No, no, I'm not talking about that. The light on
Security
the
light?
brick wall, the security light.
Oh, okay, I
Brent-
thought you was
and-
talking about the one in the
No,
parking lot.
Building 116, the security light. And the irony of it is that that's one that Sally replaced, and it burns 24/7, which I've reported last year and the year before. And then you replaced all the lights, and that one got taken away. It's still on during the day.
Yeah?
Yeah, but now it's
Even though it has
dead.
a light sensor.
But now it's dead. It is dead. Totally dead.
Yes,
You
it's
know
dead.
where Bill Burns is? It's on that brick
Is it?
wall. Right, that brick wall right there, by his
Yeah,
fence.
can
That
I
light
ask,
is- I thought I called and left your voicemail, or I emailed you it.
I saw the email.
Oh, I emailed you. Yeah, okay. Just
where-
wanted you to know, it's been dead since last week.
Mary
Last
Lou,
Friday.
Mary Lou, can I speak? I still don't have any answer about herbicides because of our trees such a bad condition in hedges. It can be because of that herbicide use. You can see on the video how close he's spraying next to the hedges. Hedges have small roots, and it's not big ficus tree. And another thing, no sign when they spraying, and pets running, people go that walk, pets, children walk there, no sign that poison was sprayed. And on instruction says that it's harmful for human and animals. And
Actually, I read-
we should
actually,
not
it says-
allow
it says
use.
It's all the places that it's good for. Golf courses, parks.
Yes, no,
other land. It has
sides,
all
no,
kinds of stuff.
on
It
unwanted,
says where it's good.
unwanted,
Okay, listen,
unwanted plants.
Don't direct it to me, direct it at the board, because
No,
I'm
no.
out of that.
But it's mean
I
don't
I'm
interrupt.
tired of hearing
Okay,
about it.
okay, can I continue?
Sure,
It
but
says,
talk to the
it's,
board, not to me.
I talking to the board. I says that an instruction says that you can spray on unwanted plants and around golf course, around some parks or something, but not on the field, because in this video you can see they kill the grass. You can see grass, you can see that half of grass dead because they spray there. You can see they spray on near condition, and it's air come to your unit. They spray on top of fence. You can see on that video. And after that, I did not put in video when children was playing. After that, people walk the dogs. No sign that poison was applied. People was 15 minutes after that spraying. They walk around. We can have liability. People can sue us for that. If we not stop, you can do on sidewalk somewhere. You can do in on concrete if. That there's grass or weed go through concrete.
Yes.
You can spray herbicide, but not around
Let me
our
share
trees
this with
and hedges.
In the building I work in the strip mall where I am on Military, they happen to do their landscaping the same day our guys do the landscaping. And even though our guys started this morning and then the heavens opened and they were mowing on 51st and then they left, but then I left for work, so I guess they came back. But I haven't looked. But the point is this, where I work, yes, there are weeds growing in the cracks of the driveway. There are cracks in sidewalks, and yes, that is what they spray. That is what they spray.
It should spray.
Because he's wearing a mask, he has a little thing on his back, and he's going along.
Mary
and I
Lou,
watched him
you
today.
will see on video where he was spraying.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, that's fine, but I am just
But
saying
we
that I
should stop
witnessed
to do
it
that.
today
So-
where I work.
What we need to do is we'll get, what's his name, the last name? Jeff.
Jeff
And,
Cohen, Jeff
we
Cohen.
will see if we can meet with him next Tuesday or Wednesday. Okay. All right, I I do want to give this gentleman, he's been very patient, and I've been very nasty, but
Yes,
I
you
get,
have.
and it's not directed at you specifically, it's just that I deal with this every day of the week. And sometimes you just add it up to here. But I want to give you the opportunity to ask your questions, and we'll certainly, if I don't know the answer, I will get you the answer.
Go ahead, okay. This is the second time I've been before the board. The first time was with a lady who had a 6-month lease, and I was asking for some flexibility from the board to give her a video call, and that wasn't granted. The whole process was very cumbersome, and this is what she wrote to me when she canceled the lease. She said, "Dear Steve, I am sorry, but we wish to withdraw our application for next winter. Honestly, we became nervous about having to deal with the HOA and booked another property. From the beginning, they have made it the process difficult. You have been terrific, and I am sorry to put you through all of this, but the refusal to do the interview over the phone soured the process for us. Please return my $1,000. I'm sorry this didn't work out. The place looks great. Best of luck to you, and thanks for all you did, Mary." So that was a 6-month lease, simple phone call. I don't know if Randall's got a Skype program yet, if any action was taken on that. It was a simple thing to do. We're in the middle of a pandemic. There was a virtual assistant when I dropped off his application. They weren't even in. Your accountant is out of the office because I went there the other day for documents, and she's out. People have to realize what's going on in the world. People
No,
need to be
she's working at home
accommodated.
because she's teaching her kids.
May I speak, please, Randall?
Sorry, yeah, sorry.
People need to be accommodated, they're human beings. This man is, and she has a husband who has congestive heart failure, has diabetes, which puts him in a huge risk group. This could have been settled at the last meeting. I think the sticking point here was he had to sign something. He had to come in and sign something after the interview. This could have been done by an email or anything, a signature company. I want some flexibility and wherewithal from this board to accommodate people. That was a 6-month lease. I calculated $2,040 worth of revenue, which this board desperately needs. And now they want to litigate me over an amendment. And I'm trying to bring revenue in to the HOA.
$351 a month.
And this board, it wants to evict this person. And is this a slush fund for the attorney? What is going on here? I've been amending leases from the last company twice, 3 times. I've had leases amended myself for any amount I wanted beyond, because the 6-month limit you impose above the third 3-month limit imposed that longevity of tenancy that you want. And so anything above that should be okay. Above a year, so what? They're a legal resident after 6 months.
Yes,
They're a legal resident. They don't have to pay sales tax or tourist development tax. They're a member of this community right now as we sit here. And you're evicting a neighbor with a 1-year-old foreigner from another country. It's despicable. And you would run up attorney's fees for that. You're not faithful custodians of this community if you do something like that. You're litigious and shallow and inhumane. And it sickens me to come here and spend all this time and go through all these hoops for your people. And I know the whole board isn't like that. But my time right now is concerned with this gentleman, and I'd just like to read this. You said you have a fiduciary responsibility. I heard the minutes of the last budget, $20,000 budgeted for the year for Rawson, and $19,000 was spent in April alone. That's disgusting. I mean, we've been through member-run boards before. We went into receivership, then we went into management companies, 2 of them. Now we're back to this. All right? Now, management companies know the legal answers. They don't have to run to an attorney. I signed with Mr. Gorin was submitted to GRS, and at the time, GRS had 2 lease amendments from me from my previous tenant, Mr. Gorin, without incident. At the very least, amendments to leases were in effect when Mr. Gorin signed the current lease with me through GRS, and should be honored, or at least grandfathered, by this HOA management. I was aware there would be no possibility of a lease amendment. Perhaps I would have looked into a longer lease. And if that's really what the board wants me to do, make longer leases and then allow them to break, that's not the way things should be done. Okay? I just hope you'll reconsider your position, and I thank you for your time.
yeah, we should reconsider.
Well,
You
the
will
only
let
commitment
people.
I'm going to make to you is I will check to see. I was of the impression that you had a 1-year lease and you wanted to make it a 14.
I think that would
No.
be great. The rule against a one-year lease is ridiculous. Why would you
Well,
not want a long, you're encouraging
because-
transiency
well,
by
here's-
limiting people, the very thing you don't want.
No, we do need a once a year because of security deposit. and
Once a
whatnot.
year.
Well, then you
but
have to go
not
through a whole
before.
new application process and background
Because
fees.
nobody read his letter. This is what problem. Only me and Mary Lou
This is
read it.
all
The
laid out.
I
thing that you
understand.
don't seem to grasp,
The amendment from GRS, they allowed amendments. When does it
GRS
change?
is no longer our
When
manager.
did
and that,
amendment
yeah, and
change?
GRS was the worst management company we ever had. We
I
haven't
haven't had
had
to
them
jump
for a
through
few
hoops
months.
to get an amendment the way I have with this.
Because they didn't care. That's why we
Management
had
companies
trouble.
just do
They
things
took in the
on
money and they
their
weren't
own.
litigious. They're taking away all the HOA fees I'm generating by threatening to evict her. How is that better than the management company?
Well, I think,
HOA fees
I
have nothing
think,
to do with this conversation.
Larry,
Yeah.
Because I'm
I,
generating 2 months worth of HOA fees with
What do
this
you mean,
extension.
HOA
sir,
fees?
sir,
The HOA fees are gonna be paid.
Paid
If
no
it's
matter
your
what.
building, you're gonna pay it.
Of course. And
So-
I have a tenant, so it comes through him.
Right.
Why don't you grasp
But-
that?
But if you didn't have a tenant, you still have to pay
That's
HOA.
beside the point, sir. That's totally beside the point.
Mary Lou, what
May
you
I-
wanted to
wait,
say?
Before this gets off track,
Revenue for us.
Larry, we did vote on this, unfortunately, it didn't go anywhere. However,
We can't do it until I know we can do it and
Exactly.
not be in violation of the Florida
Yeah.
statute.
You're gonna run
Because-
up legal
let me
fees
finish,
going to your
sir,
attorney to
sir,
research
sir,
this.
let me
This is
just say
ridiculous.
Let me say this.
Just vote on it.
Look, I'm in favor of doing it, so let me say this to Larry.
We've already moved on this motion. It
No,
was
we don't
tabled.
move it yet.
Larry,
We're discussing what
Wasn't
the
tabled.
chaplain says.
Larry,
He has 3
here's
minutes.
my feeling on this. You at first thought that it was extending a one-year lease, a 12-month lease. That was never the case. And so when Natalia and I said that if the lease is for 9 months and he wants 3 more, or 2 more, sorry, that's 11 months. We're only giving him 2 months for the tenants to do whatever they need to do, okay, whatever it is. And we're still under a year. It's
I
11 months. And I
understand that.
think
But
we should
you can't-
accommodate him,
This
but
is
you
in our
need to
rules.
find out
We
legally.
can't do that.
You're not understanding what you're reading in the rules. It's in the
Oh my God,
documents
no one
first.
knows
Yes,
them better
yes,
than
I
I
read
do.
it.
Okay, we're gonna get a clarification. on the
That's what I'm
document,
asking.
and then we'll know.
Clarification.
We're wasting so
That's
much
what I'm
time
saying.
on simple things what we can do in work on something more important.
This won't
Instead
take
of just
much
talking and doing
Ross's
nothing.
time. It'll take 10 minutes.
I forwarded this to Randall. He would not forward this issue to you. He told me to come to the meeting. You'd be prepared for this if he had done that. Now, you want to take time and read up on it for the
Yeah,
next
yeah,
meeting?
yeah.
It's ridiculous.
You have time?
No, I don't have time.
He
I'm a very
sent
busy
to
person.
everybody.
When's
You
the
have
lease
time
expire?
to research that.
That's August 31st.
So, you'll have an answer next week.
People want answers quicker. They don't want to. They
No.
don't want
The tenant wants to know
He
whether
wants to
they
know
can
what he's
stay
doing.
or they
Stay or
have
not.
to leave.
Yeah, yeah.
They have to relocate.
They're not leaving till August, Mary.
Yeah, but they need to find
Larry,
another
could you
place.
pack up your
This
house,
concerns
find a new
other
place to
people.
live
It
and
doesn't
move
concern
in
you.
6 weeks? I
Well, what
couldn't.
kind of people you are, huh?
Could you pack and move in 6
I need to get a
weeks?
6-month tenant.
They'll
at a
get
moment's
an
notice.
answer
Can't
next
believe it.
week.
Good, good.
I'll make a motion that the meeting be adjourned.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Yeah.